It's been a while. How's it going? This year has been pretty interesting so far. 2020 has been pretty insane. But you read the title when you clicked the video. There's been some interesting developments on my improvement journey, my improvement journal, if you will. I've been trying a bunch of things out since the new year started. What I started doing was experimenting with my New Year resolutions. I started with a few New Year resolutions, which were I'm going to try out the keto diet, I'm going to try out the vegan diet, I'm going to try going off of social media, I'm going to try cutting out caffeine. And I was doing all of those things, or I was thinking about all of those things, but I didn't know I'd be able to do all of those things in 2020 altogether. So let's start from the very beginning. Around Christmas time last year, I made the New Year resolution that I'm going to get off of Instagram, because for me, Instagram was one of those things that I was just on all the time, not getting a whole lot of return out of it. So very quickly, I did that, and within the first 5 to 7 days, I've made a whole video about that as well, I just did not feel the need to touch Instagram. And I really wanted to get off my phone altogether, but, you have people in your life that you need to contact, so I didn't really do that. But if it were up to me, I would definitely have done that. What I did after that was I hopped on a ketogenic diet for the first month, and it was okay, it was great, I was experimenting, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. I was getting really tired of all the meat, I was getting tired of all the cheese and dairy, and I felt like I need to try something else. So right out of doing all the meat, I started to experiment with the vegan diet. And I got on the vegan diet for a month, and that was in the start of February, so the 1st of February. And I am still vegan. I have been doing it for quite a while. Now, here's the thing I've learned. When you're doing these challenges where no this, no this, no that, you build a lot of discipline, and that discipline will then build into other things. Now, when I was doing keto, one of the things you can't do on keto is have carbs. One of the things that I was having a lot of was sugar, right? So that meant when I was doing keto, I was also off sugar, and it's been about it's September when I'm recording this. Since January, I haven't had 1 single ounce of sugar. Now, of course, fruits have sugar, random stuff that you eat has a little bit of sugar, but in terms of additional sugar, added sugar, pure sugar, any pop drink, soda, hot chocolate, you name, even cake, anything, nothing. I haven't touched it. I haven't had any ounce of sugar in any food that I know of that I consciously put in my mouth. That's probably the hardest thing that I did. So since January, I've been off of meat, I've been off of dairy, I've been off of sugar, and up until now, I've lost 28 pounds. 28 pounds in January, and I had done no exercise. I had done in fact, I think I'm exercising less now than I was before, and it's just because, I've got a lot of other things going on. The other thing I realized is in about April, I had all these amazing things that I was doing. I was off of Instagram, I was vegan, I was not eating any meat, I was saving a lot of money not buying meat, I was off of sugar, I was feeling a lot more energized, and I decided that one of the things that was really affecting me was caffeine. It would really get me anxious. I was having a couple of panic attacks because of caffeine. Every time I would have coffee, or even tea for that matter, I would get some panic attacks. So naturally, the next thing in line was, let me just cut out coffee altogether. So I cut out coffee. I still had some tea, but very, very moderately. I cut it off for the most part. And I think with that, I've become this person who just quits a lot of things, right? Just altogether. And doing any one of these things individually is so hard. Like quitting sugar is so hard, quitting meat is so hard, quitting dairy for a lot of people is hard, quitting social media is hard. But for me, just tackling one of those things enabled me to do the next thing, even though it was completely unrelated, and that led to overcoming the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the one after that, to the point where I have pretty much let go of a lot of things that I was addicted to. Now, with social media, I did launch a business around May, so I had to hop back on Instagram, but I'm still barely using it. I'm only using it for business purposes. But even then, I've noticed when I had Instagram on my phone, I had the tendency of going on Instagram, going to the Explorer page, exploring random things. So Still working with that. I'm still helping myself understand, you know what, don't get too addicted to this. So now I'm at a point where I've overcome all these things. I've let go of sugar, I've let go of meat, let go of dairy, lost 28 different pounds. I've quit coffee, I've quit caffeine, and I also quit my job. I launched a business, like I mentioned earlier on in the year, because I had just so much energy, so much creative space, and launching my business in May up until August. In those 3 months, my business went from absolute zero starting to at a point where I was making twice the amount of my monthly salary, where I was able to actually quit my job. These are all things that I've been able to accomplish only because I committed extremely hard to my New Year resolution goals. And I have never in my entire life paid any attention to New Year resolutions or whatever else, you name it. Like within the first 2 weeks, I'm done. But this time I felt like I need to not so much prove a point to myself, but I really need to get off of these things. And I'm at a point now where I don't really know what else I can quit. Right? I've quit social media, I've quit all these different things. Now it might be time to add things. So maybe it's time to add some meditation. Maybe it's time to add some journaling. Things like that. But I also want to measure it. I want to do it. I want to ease it into my life. I don't want it to be something that I have to do every single day that I don't. Now, here's what I've learned. And it's something I've learned about discipline. Is that if you can discipline yourself to overcome one big hurdle, if you can overcome, let's say, addiction to sugar, that makes every other thing a lot easier. You start trusting in yourself, because the moment you see yourself succeeding at something, you start believing, maybe if I try my hand at that other thing, I'm going to do that as well. And then the more you stick with it, the more you do other things as well. Now, it also works the other way. If you keep quitting, if every single week you keep quitting, every single goal that you will set for yourself, you yourself will not believe it's something you can do. And eventually you'll ask yourself, is this even something worth doing? Should I even be doing this? You know what? Forget about it. It's not that important. And that's because you don't have a lot of belief. You don't have a lot of commitment in what you're doing. If you are setting goals, if you are, say, trying to quit social media, trying to lose some weight, or maybe you're trying to quit caffeine, whatever your goal might be, the most helpful thing for me has been to just do it cold turkey. Just out of sight, out of mind, and it's always happened. Whether it's caffeine, whether it's social media, whether it's meat, it's always the first few days that are the hardest. If you can go through the first few days, believe me, it gets a lot easier. Believe me, it gets a lot easier. So muster the courage, and I encourage you, whatever it is that you want to overcome, pick one thing at a time. Pick, say, sugar or whatever your addiction is. Do that for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, say, you know what, I can do this for another 2 weeks. Do it for a month. Once you've done it for a month, you've got a pretty good idea of where you struggle. What are some points of relapse? Why do you feel like relapsing? What are the things you're feeling while you're relapsing? And then you can adjust accordingly. Is there something I have to make sure that I do to not get those sugar cravings? Maybe I should have some sort of fruit around the day. Or maybe if you're doing social media, why do I feel like reaching out to my phone? What is it that I'm feeling when I'm wanting to reach out to my phone? Can I replace that with something else? These are things you're going to have to think about, but in order for you to realize what these things are, you have to give yourself a long enough time doing these things, developing the discipline to really outline these things. Now, these are things that I never thought I was going to be able to do individually, let alone all together. And I have to admit, it's pretty annoying for a lot of my friends because they're like, dude, you don't do anything anymore. You're not eating any sugar. You don't have any meat. You don't have any dairy. We can't go out with you anymore. We can't do anything. But, you know, if it's making me feel good, it's okay. It's not inconveniencing anyone else. And I think that's all that matters. Peer pressure for a lot of people is something that really holds them back. Their friends say you should eat meat, you should eat sugar, and then they're like, okay, I guess I need to. But if it's a goal that's important enough to you, if you feel like you have enough integrity, if you feel like you have enough commitment to your goal, no amount of what anyone's going to say is going to shake you. If your goals are so weak that anyone coming your way with a simple comment can throw you off your goals, and was it really that important to you? Did you really want to do it? So you really have to take that into consideration, okay? Here's my whole proposition with the improvement journal. If you would like to do this, if you want to overcome something, commit cold turkey for the next 30 days. Try it out and document your process. Every day, every 2 days, every 3 days, whatever you need to do. Really hold yourself accountable. I used to have this calendar like Matt Diavella. Every single day I would have like one thing. I would mark out the day that I've accomplished that thing, and when you see the X's pile up on every single one of those days, you're like, wow, I'm actually making progress. And the longer you see that chain running throughout the weeks, you're like, well, I can't quit now. If I mess up now, it's just not going to work. So accountability goes such a long way. So I hope this gave you some perspective. If it did give you some perspective, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you like this, let me know in the comments what you would like me to make videos more about, because I don't think there's anything else I could quit, but if you could think of anything, let me know. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.